the fact that you're saying that?
Yeah. I'm okay with this.
Or is that something that you've been saying for a while?
I mean, this is not a bad thing, Mike.
It's not, I mean, it's really not.
It's not.
It really isn't.
When you move up here...
The fact that we have cute little things that we both say now.
Yeah. We just don't tell our wives.
That's adorable. Yes. And 3. And 2. And 1. And here we go. Hello, friends, family, and everyone in between. You're listening to the FillGood podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Osgood, and we also have
Byron Filler. That was so unceremonious after that drum solo. I'm sorry, everybody.
It's okay. It's okay. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. We are back after a 6-ish month hiatus of podcasting. We've been doing some things here and there with streaming. We've been having fun playing with our friends, playing Minecraft, playing a bunch of other random stuff. But we figured we owe it to you to come back to the podcast to whisper little sweet things into your ears and say, hello, we missed you.
Hello. We did miss you. We have a bunch of little updates that we wanted to give you guys. We haven't been doing this for a little bit. It's been a few months. We've had some major life changes that we'll talk about in a little bit. We'll mention season 2 and what is going on there. It's still happening. But we also wanted to mention that if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, this is also on YouTube now. This is a video. You can see our beautiful faces right now if you wanted to do that instead of just simply listening. We have our YouTube channel, the FillGood Podcast. Subscribe, like, comment, just send us some love, and we want to hear from you too.
Today, we have ourselves nice, sweet little extra pearls of content that came from all of our interviews that we had with Rod, with Catie, with Teela, with Liz, with Zack. Just too many good interviews and too many great stories that just could not fit into the time that we allotted ourselves for this to tell the best stories. But these are still super fantastic bits that we think you are going to love. So please feel free to stay tuned, listen to that. But also too, again, if you want to see our beautiful mugs, see the crazy dancing that I was doing earlier, see Byron's beard in its full glory, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/FillGoodPodcast. And you can also follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/FillGoodGames. Where we're going to be continuing to play a lot of fun games together, playing it with the fans, with the community, and, just having a genuine good time.
But before we get into all of that, Mike, what's good with you? What's been going on since we last
what's good with
streamed some video games?
Brother, I'm house hunting.
Ooh.
I am looking for a new place to live in the Pacific Northwest.
I'm loving it. And that means you're going to be right across the river. You're going to be close.
I'm going to be close, brother. We're going to be having ourselves a nice little studio that we can try to record in. We're going to have ourselves a nice good space as long as we can actually find the house that we want to call our own. But that's the biggest thing that's happening in my life, and it's going to be a huge change as I've been in California basically my whole life.
Ditto.
And I'm going to move. I'm going to get out of the city, move into the suburbs. It's going to be weird. And yeah, that's what's up with me.
That's awesome.
How's everything on the Portland side?
I know, Marissa and I moved up to Portland, and we're loving it here. She got a job up here, and we moved for that, and then shortly after that, I got some work as well. So, like, freelancing right now, and then, trying to do some other things, nice. And, keep on going with this podcast, and it's fall up here. It's like very apparently fall. Leaves are have turned orange, and it's beautiful. The food around here is amazing.
Nice.
People around here are like so nice, like Trader Joe's nice. Like, just, I'm happy. I'm really happy.
Nice. You want to know what? You deserve to be happy. Aww. And I'm happy for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's great. You and Alexia are going to love it up here when you get here. I promise you that.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed that we can make all that magic happen.
Yeah.
But enough of us chit-chatting. You guys want to hear some extra content?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hop into it. Let's chit-chat about our first one.
First up is, and this is a little less about Zack, because he was more just a part of this conversation as we caught this, like, talking after we were done recording the episode. We ended up just having this as extra. And you learn a little bit more about Mike and our and me and our meet cute, and how we came to join forces and form a podcast the likes of which have never been seen.
Exactly. You will hear about the moments that we met, how we became star-crossed podcasters from across my parents' dining room. So, please enjoy When Byron Met Mike.
Was that your AIM username as well?
Yeah, it was my RIP to AIM. Like,
oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a whole nother segment that we should just like hurry up and briefly chat about. This is our added content right here. We'll sign off in a second, but Byron, what was your first AOL Instant Messenger name?
I don't remember. There was something before Springlord Pants, which is a very boring story. It sounds epic, but it's really, it just sucks.
Yeah.
Wait.
I don't know.
Springlord Pants?
Springlord Pants, yes.
So my friend Ben, who I lived across the street from,
I knew Ben. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
Ben.
you met Ben. I've known Ben for it's like over 25 years now, and he was at like a soccer trainer, and it was this park near the beach, and a couple of us went to like join him on it just because he was like doing goalie training at the time, so more people to kick balls at him was helpful. So I was wearing sweats that day, and his trainer goes, "Pants, you're completely fucking useless." And I was like, what? And everyone's laughing, but it doesn't end there. Months later, I go and meet like
Wait, people are still laughing? No, I'm going.
No. They were laughing for months. Yes. No. That's kind of just where that ends, because nothing really happened after that. They just started calling me Pants. And then Ben introduced me to like a group of his friends, and right when they were like, "Hey, so what is your name?" Ben interjects. He goes, Pants. His name is Pants. There's nothing that you've ever called him by but Pants. You don't know him by any other name. If he says another name, he's lying. It's Pants. Only call him Pants. So that's how I became Pants. And then Springlord Pants was basically, I was looking for a gamer tag, and Pants was taken, but Springlord Pants wasn't. So
it was just a recommendation. It was just auto-generated. Can I ask you two a question? How did you two meet? What's your meet cute?
You want to know our meet cute? Okay.
Yeah.
I want to actually. This is actually a good question
because
I want to figure out like exactly how we met.
So it was at your mom's house.
Is it getting hot in here? You both are getting weirdly flustered.
We're getting a little flustered. It's like we've never had this question asked.
Go on.
Yeah. So it was. I don't remember what time of year exactly it was, but you were.
It was summer.
Mike, it was
so
summer.
It was hot.
You were coming down to visit your mom, and your mom contacted my wife and I, Marissa, and
because she is my cousin.
Yes. So we're driving down.
Wait. Marissa's your cousin?
Marissa's my cousin.
Okay. Sorry. I thought your mom was your cousin, and I was getting very confused.
Exactly. No. My mom contacted Marissa because down in Southern California, Marissa and I have had many conversations, and then she happened to have this new boyfriend who she was like, I think you would get along really well with him. I'm like, maybe. We'll see. We'll see if he makes the cut.
And I brought Exploding Kittens, so...
And the instantaneously, yes. Exploding Kittens, the board game.
For clarification,
the second that he brought that, that's one of my favorite games. I was like, okay, I know he's gonna be good. And we just kind of sat, we chatted, we bullshitted, and from that moment, we're like, okay, I think we're probably gonna be like best friends-ish. We'll see. And then like a couple years later, we're hosting a podcast together.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So did you move to California? Is that like the whole...
No.
Or did you already live in California?
I'm a Bay Area kid, born and raised. So I've been out here for my life. And but my parents moved down to Southern California, and Marissa and Byron lived in LA, so it's just like bop, everybody meet up, and then as time has gone on, the stars aligned. And the Phil met the good, and it became FillGood. And then we took over Netflix. We took over Disney. We became the #1 entertainment brand in the world, and stuff.
I see it. in 5 to 6 years' time. FillGood Podcast Inc.
What nobody knows right now is Mickey Mouse is holding a pistol up to Mike's head. You want that?
Plug the podcast.
Because that's what they want us to think.
There's one thing that we know is that Byron is a very interesting guy. And when we're chatting with Teela LaRoux, one of his early friends, we learned something very surprising about him, that Byron has never fully listened to or identified with the emo music wave of the early 2000s.
Guilty.
Early, mid 2000s. And we really needed to just educate him. So Teela and I put him through what we are going to call Emo 101. Enjoy.
So I was sending her some pictures as she was dying. I did my MySpace selfie earlier.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Wait. I'm actually just gonna screenshot this because why not? Everybody, give your best emo look of just like beautiful. All right, nice. I
clearly am the only person.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're the one that has like the full top knot and everything going right now.
I'm the only one who has no idea what I'm doing with any of this, which is part of my education today.
It works, yeah. All right. So for listeners who have no idea what's happening right now, it's come to the realization to many of us that Byron has no idea what emo music is.
I know, I do. Correction. I do. I just was never an emo kid.
Which is crazy given our time.
I know.
Yes.
Of when all of us grew up, we're all in similar ages here. Of emo was our time. Like early 90s had their Nirvana, like late 80s had Poison and everything. We had My Chemical Romance. And like
Dashboard Confessional.
Dashboard Confessional. We had Yellow Card. We had Hawthorne Heights. We had
Taking Back Sunday.
You can't forget TBS. Byron, how did you miss this?
Well, there's a couple things that happen, I think, but the most primary thing that I can actually speak to is so like I have autism, and a lot of what I went through, I was not the most social person in middle school, high school, and the challenges that come with having autism is like there's not a lot of an ability to extrovert. So it's like I heard this music, but I was never an emo kid because I was like, I don't know, I was reading books and playing video games, and I just preferred that isolation a lot more than kind of like extroverting my feelings. But after like also listening to a lot of the music this past week, actually kind of paying attention to it, I realized like I was going through a lot of the emotions and a lot of the feelings of what emo kids went through. I think my angle of it was less about like the darkness of my soul and more about like my brain's broken. I'm going to figure out how to put it back together. It was a lot less like emotional and a lot more like pragmatic depression, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Teela, I want to know your journey into emo. How did it started? Like what built this love for this genre of music?
You know, it's so funny because like I was talking to a friend the other day, and obviously like I love posting now what we call throwback emo music.
The fact that it's throwback now is heart-wrenching.
So like it makes me so happy, and now we have this thing going every week where it's like emo every day or emo Monday or emo Wednesday or whatever that we do on social media. And it's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine, and I think back then listening to that sort of music you could relate to because you were going through a breakup, or like you were feeling like you were going through some sort of teenage thing that made you feel the feels. And this music actually made you feel like, you know, you were into it, whether it made you cry or whether it made you like, yeah, okay, yes,
yeah,
you know, mosh pit, because that's what I was doing.
Hell yeah.
It made you feel something. And I think like thinking about that now, like he was like, my friend was like, isn't it funny that back then we were crying or feeling something during like listening to these songs back then, and now we think about it and listen to it and it gets us excited. And I'm like, yeah, it's fun because like back then we were like, yeah, the world's gonna end, I'm gonna go through a breakup, like, you know. Now we listen to it and we're like, wow, this is great music.
Just rip my heart out, black my eyes, and
I love
just
mosh pit too. Like I can't wait till we can do mosh pits again, because just throw me into the mosh pit, I'm gonna be there.
It's been so long since I've been in a mosh pit, which sucks. But
it feels like it's been forever for me too.
I once crowd surfed at Warped Tour when I was like 14, and I got dropped into a mosh pit.
Oh,
and it was the most intense like 2 minutes of my life because I also lost a shoe during this time. So I'm like running around like trying to mosh and throwing elbows and everything, and also one shoeless. And it was who's playing? I think it was The Offspring, because that was a big thing at that moment.
That's a good mosh pit to be in.
It was fun.
This mosh pit was a day to remember, and I remember coming out with my shirt ripped and my hair messed up, like my eyeliner smeared, and I was like, let's go back in.
Let's fucking go.
Let's go. The last one was Pasadena Daydream, I think.
Nice.
It was Deftones.
Oh man. I feel like I haven't listened. Deftones hasn't popped up on a playlist of mine in forever, and it's gonna have to happen right now.
They just came out with a new album.
Did they?
And
hell yeah.
And I still listen to them. Honestly, it's great workout music too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yes. If I want to get pumped up and I want to work out and I really want to just get into my workout, all you got to do is put on that music because it's gonna pump you up for sure.
It is.
Like literally, physically, like honestly.
Have you ever been able to do like a primal screamo scream?
No, but my boyfriend can, and I mean, he's in a band, but he can actually scream. He's in a rock band.
Brilliant.
And it's hard. That's not something easy to do.
No, I as a former rock band guy, I remember the first time I did a primal emo scream, and I had family members at my show, and there was just like this nice breakdown in a song, and it was just like dun 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 dun. And it just started getting the build up. I'm just sitting there, and I'm so scared because I'm like, I have to do this right now. And then the break just goes. I'm just like, Rah! Just go crazy at it, and the look on everybody's faces when those moments happen is intoxicating.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's so good.
I was gonna say the closest I've ever come to. I was saying this to Mike. The closest I've ever come to doing that screamo voice is my impression of Terry Jones as an old woman for Monty Python.
That's close. So close.
It's
so
pretty close.
It's so close. Byron.
Yes.
Teela and I gave you roughly 10 songs each of the quintessential emo songs of our time. Now, we have to ask, which ones stood out to you the most?
Do you want me to read off the list of what?
Read off the list of what we sent you. Yes.
Okay, so I'll start with what Teela sent me. So Teela sent me "Vindicated" by Dashboard Confessional.
Classic.
"Cute Without the E," Taking Back Sunday.
Hell yeah.
"Baby, You Won't Last a Minute," On the Creek by Chiodos. Chiodos? Okay.
Cheetos. Yeah.
Cheetos. Yeah. Oh, God. I'm going to call them Cheetos forever. "Soul Meets Body" by Death Cab for Cutie. And "No One Really Wins" by Copeland.
Okay.
And then Mike, you sent me "The Artist in the Ambulance" by Thrice. "Monsters" by Matchbook Romance. "Sick Transit Gloria ... Glory Fades" by Brand New. I know. I know. Yeah. ... I know how like clerical I'm being, but this is the only way that I'm gonna like be able to enter this properly. I'm loving all of this. I need to do this like a statistician or something.
I'm obsessed.
I'm like half a second away from grabbing my calculator. I'm not good at math, but that's the mood of this for me right now. "Face Down" by Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, and "Anthem of Our Dying Day," Story of the Year.
Yeah.
All of them I could tell. A couple songs on this that I have actually heard that I just never knew the name of, but I could tell a lot of these were deep cuts because they felt a lot more like metal, and that I am actually a lot more familiar with just metal as a genre and then like emo. So this was like, oh, okay, this is rooted in something deeper than like some of the other artists that I think I probably did hear in high school, which felt a lot more whiny at the time. But I was also a whiny teenager too, so I don't know. My favorite, once I'm done rambling, was "Baby, You Won't Last a Minute on the Creek" by Cheetos.
Okay, so we love Cheetos. Which one did you feel the most surprised by?
I think it was "Soul Meets Body."
Yeah.
Just because I have heard that song before, but then taking that second listen and having that recognition of what it's called and actually like getting into it, it was just the most different and recognizable to me of all of the different songs. I'll admit, like, I listened to a couple songs and was waiting for it to be over, only realizing that like, and being like, oh, I'm 3 songs deep. This is a totally different song. So there were a couple on this list that like I listened to that weren't different enough, and I had no idea what I was listening to after a while. But also because I'm a comedy nerd, and I also saw a bit of a correlation with like the names of emo music and screwball comedies, and I was playing that game with myself where it was like emo song or screwball comedy? Which one was screamed by a man in the early 2000s, and which one starred Cary Grant and Marilyn Monroe? So, when we were chatting with Rod, we were chatting with him about his experience as a musician and a songwriter, but he also runs a little YouTube channel where he chats with people who did some of the most beloved theme songs of our childhood in the 90s. So, X-Men, the Power Rangers, Rick and Morty, which is not from the 90s, but still beloved by 90s kids. And it was very interesting to hear him talking about just that experience and what he learned from those songwriters. So this is what we can learn from childhood nostalgia with Rod Kim.
Big question I have for you. What's harder to write? A TV show theme song or an actual song?
Ooh, for me, the show kind of theme stuff is a little bit more challenging because most times there's more parameters around it. And I like it now. Hopefully I'll think that in 10 years, but mainly because usually, okay, so I'll rewind to an early thing, even before I decided to be a songwriter. Before I moved to LA, me and my buddy, we wrote the theme song for the Philadelphia Phillies mascots. And
nice.
A lot of fun and super thankful for the experience. So they were like, I'm going to get these wrong. There's a sea otter and a turtle and a seagull. And these are their properties. This one flies, this one does this. This one eats people on the field, yeah. And stuff. And then also they need this amount of time to get on the field and then dance and stuff. So there's usually those things. The themes I just wrote this week for another project, they were like, okay, so this one's going to be about conspiracy theories, but not too dark. And also it needs to be 29 seconds long. And we also need to take that same piece of music and split it up to stingers and fade outs and stuff. And it's a nice challenge, but there's more to consider during the writing process instead of just being let the muses take over, But the song for pop artists and stuff, there's some parameters, but usually it's I'm usually seeking that out. So if I'm writing with an artist, especially, this is going to sound, hopefully this doesn't get edited into something weird, especially when I'm working with the opposite of my circumstance. So if I'm working with a female singer that's younger or something, and I usually what are you dealing with right now? What's on your mind? Because as an Asian American in entertainment, like you said before, there's usually up until recently, there's been Asian stories written by white people that seem just off. And same with black stories and everything else, And so it was I don't want to sound like a 38-year-old writing what I think a 20-year-old girl's going through, So that one is a little bit that. I feel that's a little easier because I seek that from them, and then also I try to find whatever it is in me, that connects principle wise with the situation. But the TV themes usually there's just a lot more, especially if you watch the video I did with Patty Michael Silvershire. I discussed this a little bit with them, but when you guys see the final shows, you're like, oh yeah, this makes sense. The Power Rangers theme, that fits. That's a no-brainer. X-Men, Gummy Bears.
Yeah.
We were talking specifically about Gummy Bears. That makes sense. But you gotta realize when they're making the show, there's nothing. So when they were doing the Gummy Bears theme song, they're like, so those candies, they're gonna go on adventures. and I forget how many drafts he said he wrote of that theme song till Patty stormed her way into some board meeting and found out who was in charge. And he's like, what do you want? And they're like, oh, it'd be nice if it was something like Robin Hood. And he's like, done. First draft after that note.
Wow.
Gummy bears hit your dad. It did it. But most times we don't get that. Usually I'm coming into a show project and they're like, it's going to be about this. And then there's going to be this thing. But sometimes this thing. And it's okay. And I'm just trying to take soak it in, and just figure out like what what it's gonna be about, you know.
Is there something with like theme songs where, based on what you're drawn to, and like especially when you're talking to some of these other composers who made these like famous theme songs, like, are you, when you're talking to them, are you looking for connections where you're able to say like, okay, yes, this is what made me feel like that much more of a connection to the show, or like the music on its own,
Like musical elements?
or just something where you're talking to them and you're looking to have a better understanding of like what you're connecting to or what you feel connected to with these songs.
So hands down, the number one thing I connect to with those composers at their level, for my level, is that none of us know what the hell we're doing. Like, especially if I rewind to when they were my age or my point in their careers, you know, and stuff like he goes into it more if you watch the video with the Power Rangers theme song. But he talked about like how many times he like wrote for that same company. He wrote like a lot of bad things that they didn't like, you know, and that weren't good he objectively and stuff, or like didn't know like what's a show about candy bears gonna sound like, you know, with the silver shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess I was guilty as well of what I had talked to Ryan Elder about. What do you tell, you know, my friends who think you should have all these things? Is before I was always like under this impression that like, oh, when Ron wrote the I didn't even know it was Ron, wrote the X-Men theme song, he got to see Storm and Cyclops and Beast like jump across the screen, and he was like, there wasn't even an animation at that point. Yeah. And he didn't even know what the X-Men were. Like they told him the pictures, like there's a lady that controls the weather, there's a Canadian guy with claws. You know,
that's the best description of Wolverine. He's just a Canadian guy.
And then I know with the Power Rangers theme song, he was so caught off guard, and I'm sharing this because he shared it in the interview. He didn't even know that his demo went live to the show. So his demo, he's singing like off key, like it's pitchy. It was supposed to be a demo vocal. I don't even think he was aware of like what part of the workflow he was in at the time, just because he was just hustling to the next thing. And I think he said it was like a number of years after X-Men ended that he realized what cultural impact it had. It might have even been like a decade or something. I don't want to misquote him, but it was like a long time later, because he said he'd just been working so much that he wasn't, you know, noticing like, and you know, the internet was around, you know, in the 90s and stuff. So, or like
you were talking about the bit where he's singing like "Go Go Power Rangers" in the theme song.
So for Power Rangers, yeah. So that all the vocals like they've got da 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 da. There's like other lyrics and stuff. But even the "Go Go Power Rangers," like the harmonies and stuff, he said like some stuff's flat or whatever. So much to the effect of, you go look, I think it's called like Power Rangers, and it's Redo, but it's REDEUX. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I call it Redux, but I thought like this is supposed to be Redo. But anyway, he recorded it by himself because he was like, I wanted to put a version out there that was actually like correct, or like his, you know, if he had the time.
Yeah.
So I know it's so interesting that he feels that way, because it's like that is so iconic to, like, I grew up on the Power Rangers, that the way specifically it is sung is, I'll remember that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will always remember
totally.
waking up Saturday mornings and listening to that and just being like, fuck yeah, it's time to go kick some putty's ass. But not saying those exact words, because I was like 5.
You didn't think it, but I
felt it. I embodied it.
And even the X-Men theme song, like knowing now, like, you know, there was never a doubt in my mind that was a real guitar. Yeah. And now that he told me that, I'm like, Mike, you play guitar, right?
Yeah, but so I would never imagine that being just played on a piano. My jaw is dropped, just like.
So go try to play along with it now on guitar, and you realize, like, it's not impossible, but a guitar player didn't write that lick.
That's
because it doesn't.
That's insane.
There's actually a really great rendition of the X-Men theme song. It's like a metal cover by, have you ever heard of a band called Power Glove?
So funny story about that. Okay, this is great hit content for you. I don't even know what that means, but I feel like this is good. So one of the videos we did like the video essay with the interview with Ron. Then as a counterpart, we did a video where we sat down with him and watched covers of the Power Rangers theme song. And he reacted to them. At the time, we were like, you know, obviously there's thousands of covers on YouTube. So we just did a search under the incognito tab and pulled up like the top 8, 9, or 10. I can't remember how many we had. And just went through those. As long as there were a lot of metal covers. So like, I think like we made sure there was some from every genre. So we skipped a bunch of metal ones. Not Power Glove, but for whatever reason, they didn't pop up on the search that day.
Really?
And so we didn't, and that and I think E-Rock are probably the two most commented, like, you missed fucking Power Glove. Like, you know, the cherry on top of that story is my friend Whitney Avalon, who some of you might know from Princess Rap Battles, insanely viral videos.
Yeah.
We were hanging out in the before times, having dinner or something somewhere. I think she just, like, I forget if she screened a movie or something. We were at a theater for some reason. And she's like, what's going on? It's like, oh, I'm trying to edit this Power Rangers video, blah, blah. And we showed, you know, the composer all these covers. And she was like, oh, that's great. You know, like, I wonder if you got my brother's. I'm like, well, it's your brother's YouTube channel. Because, like, maybe we did show it to him. He's like, it's a band called Power Glove. I'm like, fuck you, Whitney. It's like, and it's like, you know what the only one is?
After all.
So I haven't shown Ron yet because there is a kind of a plan because now that I know they have like a connection with Power Glove, to maybe somehow surprise them or do something. There's something too good there that, like, it's one of the most requested covers for Ron to react to. I don't think Ron's seen it.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know about it because I haven't mentioned it to him. But also, I have a connect to the band that covered. There has to be something there where we can do some sort of.
Cool, they are just such a. I don't ever hear anyone else talk about them, and they're just their metal covers are just so well done. Like, I'll come back to their Legend of Zelda cover that they did, and it's mind blowing every time I listen to it.
You guys are gonna
I haven't listened to any of their stuff either.
Yeah, you're gonna have to link me this.
If you just go to Spotify and you look up Power Glove, it should be there. But if not, I'll just send you some YouTube links. Yeah. And it's just when they get to the point, it's called Power, Wisdom, Courage, and they spend about 5 minutes going through, like, a bunch of different, like, themes in the metal version, and then they build up to the main theme, and by the time you get to that explosion, it's like, where's the fucking mosh pit? Like, where?
I'm looking this up immediately after this.
I mean, it's so tempting to watch now. I've been holding off watching it because I want the reaction to be real when we watch it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there was one video we did of another theme song where I saw a couple of them before. I was like, I can fake it. You know what Rod's not is a trained actor. So I forget if those clips got cut out or, like, we left them in and people were like, why is he just sitting there? It's like, oh. Yeah. Like, I'm like, oh my god, who knew?
Oh wow, yeah.
Although I want to say, like, from our Ron reacting to the Power Rangers theme songs, I think our favorite of the ones we watched was a channel called the Warp Zone, who I later got to meet. It's a cappella, but they recreated the opening sequence of Power Rangers with the toys, and, like, I'm pretty sure, like, Ron, like, cracked up the most. And you see the hands on the toys; it's so janky, but it was so funny. It was like frame by frame recreation of it. It was hilarious.
That's awesome, Rod. Again. Thank you. If there's anything...
Sorry again for being late. Oh my god,
I'm totally
fine.
Yeah.
I like the short version of everything was, like, I was out, so I got one of those, like, Home Chef meal kit things because a friend, like, gave you a recommendation thing and I liked it, so I kept it. Then I found out I'm missing one of the things that they say every adult should have in their kitchen. I, like, went out and got
to those fools.
This is also the same guy that told you to get an air fryer.
Right. I mean, to their credit,
no,
like,
listen to this fool. Don't listen to any of those fools.
So I, like, went out to get that, and then, like, I was out in Little Tokyo, and then my mind just dripped. It was like either COVID or weed brain, one of the two or both. Like, I had, like, gotten what I needed, and then, like, I see, like, oh, honey me, I haven't had that. I thought I was wanting to get that. Like, and now I'm, like, looking up stuff, like, can I eat what's in it? Because I'm vegetarian, you know, and stuff. I'm, like, looking it up, and then, like, I was like, oh. We're in the middle of where Akihabara used to be. I'm gonna see if that store's still around here. And then it wasn't. It closed down. Then I, like, looked, and there was another store. I'm like, oh shit, they got some models I want to look at. And then it just, like, became this, like, wormhole. I just completely forgot the day. Driving home, and I think my notification would have gone off, but my GPS turns off some phone notifications, not text for some reason. So I'm glid you texted me, because otherwise I might have gone off another tangent. I'm like, let's go to Target,
which is definitely, like, the most unsafe thing for it to not sleep, right?
Yeah.
Considering bike drive, but no, that's.
But yeah, I was pulled off the side of the road for, like, at least 20 minutes texting this group, all trying to figure out how we can go volunteer for the vaccine site stuff.
Yeah, no,
yeah, I was like, totally. And then you texted, I was like, ah, shit,
totally cool, totally fine, and everything.
Important shit.
Yeah, just totally important shit, and it's all good. But just to give you, like, some insight, Wes, you can cut. Now, I was gonna say, now we're just gonna be chatting.
next bit, we were chatting with Catie Shampine about astrology. She is a huge enthusiast, but when we were chatting with her, it all kind of just became a big Aries Row Fest. It just was, or just Aries Fest. It was an Aries Fest. Because Mike
it really was.
Catie are both Aries. Yeah, it just became a very long tangent that we wanted to be able to share with you now. So here is Charting the Stars with Catie Shampine.
But you want to know what else is deep? Astrology.
Yeah.
And this is something that I've been seeing blasted all over your social media lately. And with all your Aries memes that you've been boasting, it's been great to see some more Aries pride kind of come out into full
Aries
force.
pride.
Yes. Can you tell us about your connection with astrology and where that came from?
Yeah. So, okay, this is actually really funny because, everyone's obsessed with astrology in LA, but my best friend Jill from my hometown who grew up with me literally said this to me last year. You've always been so into astrology. I remember when we would get magazines, you would go straight for the zodiacs. I said, okay, I'm going to quote you on that because I've been into astrology forever. But once I moved to LA, obviously I would be like, oh, I'm an Aries, and thinking no one would know what that was. And everyone was like, what's your moon? And I was like, so I feel like astrology, I don't know everything about astrology. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm such a novice, and it's what you are scratching the surface with your sun sign barely, and then you're kind of maybe putting your toe in, knowing your whole birth chart. But then there's just layers and layers and layers of insane science behind astrology that would blow your mind. It blows my mind, but I also am I haven't really fully immersed myself in astrology education, although I really want to. And there is there's an actual school where you can learn, an online school where you can learn astrology that I really want to do. Yeah, it's very technical. It's very math and science based, and those are my two least favorite subjects. So
Interesting.
That part is very intimidating for me because there's a lot of scales and understanding degrees and all that stuff that I'm just but I definitely know a lot about your basic birth chart information and the basic astrology, personality traits and all that kind of stuff. I have an almost Rain Man memory for people's signs. It's kind of alarming.
Is it Rain Man, or is it you're just picking up the vibes from people?
It could be that. It could be that. But literally I went to this bar once, now it was probably 2 years ago. And I remembered that the door guy was a Gemini because he told me that. And then a few months later we went to the bar and I was like, Gemini. Don't remember your name, but I know you're a Gemini. And he was like, what? How do you know that? I have a weird memory for it. But yeah, what are your questions? What do you want to know?
I mean, the first thing I was going to say, because I know that, and you and I have talked about this before, where you don't offer chart readings. So
yes.
Something that's very deliberate. So I wanted to talk to you about, since you are deep within this realm of spirituality, tarot, Reiki, and just being an astrology enthusiast, where do you connect the tethers between these practices, and where do you feel that you can look at these and respect them as the disciplines that they are?
Yeah, I feel like the overlap or the connection for me is that they're all they're very trust based. You have to trust, and just also I think getting into the specifics of astrology, for example, I love astrology because right now I could tell you, even though I don't know your whole birth chart, Mike, and I think I did do your birth chart once, Byron, but I don't remember it.
You did
the whole
it.
thing.
You
I
did it
have my
once,
chart
yeah.
right in front of me, and
ooh, Ooh.
And I was going to test you and see if you can guess my rising sign and my moon sign.
Rising in your moon.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, I need to ask. Okay, let me ask a couple questions.
Okay.
Like, when you're angry, how do you react?
I try to stay calm. I try.
Ooh.
I try.
Okay. Do you hold grudges?
Yes.
Ooh, okay. Maybe a water moon. Rising. Rising is harder. You have a very like puppy energy, but that could be the Aries coming through.
That's the husky.
That's the husky. You have a puppy husky energy. I feel
I
like
feel so left out.
No,
it's okay. It's okay. I'll send you the link.
Okay. We're gonna. Okay.
Get co-star.
That's
guys.
exactly
Get on
what this
co-star.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
so Byron, if you get co-star, then we can like compare our charts and see how compatible we are as friends. I love
Ooh.
that. Yeah, and you and Marissa can see how compatible you are as lovers.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
But
I feel like I already know that answer.
I want to say you have some Pisces on your chart. Is that true?
On mine,
Probably. I remember. Oh, you're talking about.
I'm talking about Mike.
surprisingly, like if I'm going through this, my sun is in Aries, of course. April
Yeah, sun is in
babies,
Aries.
let's go.
Yes.
My ascendant is in Libra.
Oh, air. Okay, Libra rising.
Libra rising, and my
Okay.
moon sign is a Leo.
Moon? Oh my God! You keep calm when you're upset. I don't.
No,
believe
all right, no. I actually, believe it or not, I can stay relatively calm unless
it could be the Libra rising balancing you out. What's your Venus and Mars?
my Venus and Mars. Hold tight. It is my Venus is Aquarius. There's your water sign that you were talking about.
Oh no, that's air.
Oh, is it? Oh, see,
The
I'm learning.
You know what? Aquarius is the water bearer, but it's a Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius are air
Yeah,
signs.
my Mars is also Aquarius.
Oh, so you actually have a lot of air on your chart. Okay, what's your Mercury?
My Mercury is Aries.
Oh, okay. So you definitely have like a heavy Aries influence with your Sun and your Mercury, because Sun is obviously like overall personality, and Mercury is kind of how you communicate. So those two things align. So it's probably pretty easy for you to like put thoughts to words, because you just have like that connection between like your communication house and your Sun. But I feel like with the Leo moon,
Tell me.
Leo moons, you know, my mom's a Leo moon, my sister's a Leo moon, so I'm over here like, no, I feel Leo moons. I mean, Leos are, you know, fire signs. You have a fire sun and a fire moon, so you definitely have like an intensity.
That can definitely be validated.
You have an enthusiasm. I think that's where I'm seeing the puppy energy, which makes sense because like Aries and Leos are like the happy, fun, like woo signs. Like we like to party and we're like everybody like streaking down the street, like woo. Like that's the.
We don't talk about my streaking. We don't.
Especially during COVID right now. Like,
true.
Well, you
just
could
wear a
probably
mask.
get away with it with the mask on.
Just wear a mask.
Just wear a mask.
On your face and on your butt.
When we're chatting with Liz Francis, there's no telling where our conversation really is going to go. And what we found was that we dug deep into the ins and outs of behind the scenes of cameras, of going into what happens when actors just have those moments of stage fright, of what to do and how to get creative when things aren't just really going to plan. So this is what we're going to call Plan B with Liz Francis. Doing some kind of stage work as well. There's something to be said about also just kind of the immediate gratification / feedback of a live audience in stage work as opposed to more screen work of the show. It's sort of in one hand, you are in control of the story that you are telling, whereas with screen, you're kind of at the mercy of a person like Byron, of the editor, who's putting together all the stories.
Oh,
and
yes. God bless editors. I always try for editors. I'm like, my life is my work is in your hands.
Post-production is crazy, the things that you can do. I appreciate when actually people take that consideration for pre-production. They bring it into post, because so many times I've been in those situations where people are like, oh yeah, fuck it, we'll just do it later with the editor, and I'm just like, well, I know you don't have a VFX budget, so what do you think we're doing?
Right. Or there's a time I had this it's hard for people to come onto a show as a guest actor because everybody's already a family, they've already been working together for a while, plus you add in other factors like physical things, etc. And there was this one wonderful actor that came on, and truth be told, things had happened that he was very, very overwhelmed, and we had to shoot before we lost light. We were outside, and I remember going, if you want to talk about making bad situations into good ones and working with it and being useful, I remember that day, and I have a lot of energy, clearly, that I was like, okay, we have to get this. And then the director was like, are we going to be able to shoot this? And I was like, don't worry, I've got this. And I just went to this actor and I was like, hi, do you trust me? And I was like, I promise you. Because literally the words weren't there. The lines weren't there. I'd never been with someone who had just the look of utter terror on their face, and a wonderful person. I actually knew people that had worked with this person, and I was like, I've got you. I'm not going to let you fail. So just we're in this together. It was like, okay. Yeah. And then I was like, okay. And our two camera operators were there. I was like, so we're doing both, right? So you have my coverage. Well, you've got their coverage. Okay, great. And I was like, what are the marks? Because even the marks weren't like, someone in a panic where nothing is sinking in. And it was like, plus it was in another language that is not my own. And I was like, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put my hand on your back and I am going to guide you and tap you when it's time for you to get up. And I was like, worked with the camera operators. I was like, do you see my hands? And then I'm still going to act my part while not getting the lines really that are coming at me, but acting like it's all happening and going, okay, we've got this, we're gonna do this, and basically filming an entire, I don't know how many pages this scene was, and tapping and going, okay, great, and I'm talking and I'm pushing someone towards their mark and I'm stopping them and we're good, and you just go at the end of the day, I feel like that's the kind of, I think of film and television and those challenges of you don't know, you're like, who's coming in today? Hi, nice to meet you. Let's argue or make out or whatever has to happen. I hope that, and I've been, lucky enough to work with some wonderful, kind actors, producers, writers, that we just all treat each other with, that kind of kindness and go, today's not your best day. That's okay. We're going to make it work. We're just going to fix it. And then the editor in post, I remember going, this is where the story came from. That's where I was like, how did I get here? The editor. So I remember when they were editing that episode and I met the editor for that episode and I was like, oh my God, I hope that worked. I'm so sorry. I hope that, and she was wonderful. And she was like, oh no, I saw it all. Well done. Good teamwork. And I was like, thank you. That's how you do it, girl. And I was like, and thank you. And she's like, I have a lot to edit, to cut to for you. And there's going to be a lot of you, but also we're going to fix because he was, there and on his mark. And I was like, yeah. And,
I'm so glad.
It's great.
Yeah. I'm so glad that that's your feedback to an editor, because I used to I would do that with actors that I would work with and feel like such a creep. I've been watching you for the past 6 months.
Oh my gosh, I'm like, are you sick of my face yet? I'm so sorry. Sometimes I actually will, like, if I'm on something for a while, I will slip in little things like little, like, hey, I see you, or like little things that are funny at the end just to give a little giggle to the editors that I don't know if they ever appreciate or not, but I'm like, I would appreciate this.
I'm telling you, they do.
As a man who's had to film like quite a lot of just B-roll all over the place and having to give it to editors to film like little mini documentaries and stuff, throwing in just like little funny things of like, here, I'm gonna film a field, and then like right as the scene's about to end, just run across it just like a wild maniac. They have fun with that footage.
There's a like joke that when I was on The Sun, my buddy, he might as well be saying this, my buddy Jacob Laughlin, we had all of our so many of our scenes were together. We were married and lovers and all those things. And I was always like, wow, how come whenever we have deep conversations, we're like naked under like a blanket? Like, apparently those were the times to talk. And so, but at the end of each of those scenes, it's like, let's talk about something deep. And then like, okay, great. Now let's, have sex. And again, or we just finished having sex or whatever, we were teenagers in the show. But at the end of the takes, one of the producers was like, and I don't know if you guys know this, when you film, especially now, the rules are much better. The guidelines are much better and safer for all parties of like how you film sex scenes and what will be shown, what won't be shown, what you agree, what the choreography is going to be, who's on set. And so those dailies are closed dailies. Like people, it's only a limited few that get to see those. And so one of our producers was like, I love that at the end of every scene, right before cut, or right after cut, that literally both of you stop and go, that was good, right? And then we would high five. And then we high five. So literally every sex scene would end with like, good job, buddy. High five. Like,
it actually sounds like a real relationship.
No comment.
Right. Which maybe that's what everybody needs to do, is like give each other a high five after sex.
I feel like that's the kind of thing that happens like early on in a relationship where everything is good. You're both in bed together and you expect, like, TV portrays pillow talk as like this sexy kind of thing, but really afterwards being like, we just talk.
We made it. We made it. High fives. Good game. Good game.
I don't know about you, but we did so good, right?
Yeah.
That was good. Should we get another take?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't bad. But it was just our little, like, to end the scene and be like, and we're friends. And I will be honest, when I work with people in those kind of scenarios, I think I didn't know this until a friend that I'd worked with had pointed it out and was like, oh, you're very clear that you're working, because there are all these little buttons that are like, and now that moment lives there, and this is us, and we're friends. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that I did that.
Work, live, and party. And that, my friends, is what we call some juicy content.
It's so juicy.
So juicy. Now, you're sitting here wondering, when can you get your next fix of the FillGood podcast?
I know,
and we have updates for you. That is that FillGood podcast season 2 is going to be coming out in 2022. Reason why we are chatting with our season 2 roster of guests, which is going to be a bunch of bangers. And we are going through a lot of life changes on our end. Byron moved up to Portland. I'm trying to buy a house near Portland. And it's going to take a little bit of time for us to just get settled, get recording, get editing, considering now that we're also going to be doing video interviews as well.
So I'm taking over the editing over here, guys.
Thank you, Byron. Much appreciated. But biggest thing is that we are still going to be streaming, so you guys can still find us on twitch.tv/FillGoodGames. And also just keep an eye out on all of our social media. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok.
We're on Twitter.
FillGood Pod.
Yeah. We're on
Twitter.
All of
we're
those,
everywhere you can find us.
Yeah, if you want to communicate with us, we We haven't done it in a while. We still want to promote artists and the good that they're putting into the world and their good art. If you've got suggestions for people that you want to connect with us with, that you think are going to be a great guest, or you just want to chat and say hi, Mike and I are around. You can find us on our Discord, or you can email us at FillGoodPodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, let's just talk. Let's just say, hey,
yeah,
guys, we're here. And like we said, we got a lot of stuff going on, but we got also a lot of stuff coming for you as well.
Exactly.
So please stay tuned. Like, subscribe, hit the heart buttons, hit the follow buttons. Any which way you find us, we're on all major podcast platforms. We're also on YouTube again. We're on Twitch. Everywhere you can find us, we're there.
Show us some love because we love you.
Do your dance moves.
We'll catch you on the flippity-flop, flippity-flop. Flippity-flap, flippity-flap, flip. We'll catch you on the flippity-flop, flippity-flop. Now you can see us dance and sing at the same time, unless you're listening on Spotify.
I don't even know what just happened. And scene.